All right, so the stats I'm showing here are from his last season in the EuroLeague, where obviously he won MVP. But now he joins the up and coming Kings, where he'll look to make an impact with his otherworldly shooting, and from what I've seen so far in the preseason, not a lot else. Now, obviously, it's only preseason, so you can't read into anything too much, but he's definitely not off to the best start, as he's only averaging 5.3 points per game so far. Although, at the time of this recording, he has scored 13 points in his final preseason game against the Jazz. So, hopefully, this performance gives him some confidence going into our first regular season game against the Jazz. Why does the NBA do this? Why? We've also played the Warriors like fucking 15 times in a row, and we get them the second game of the season. Anyway, let's talk about some goals Sasha needs to hit in order for his first NBA season to be looked at as an overall success. First of all, he needs to make his way into the rotation. Not starting rotation, just the rotation in general. And you may be thinking, wow, make it into the rotation? What are you talking about? That's a given. He's the reigning EuroLeague MVP. Sick. So is Nemanja Bjelica. Which, shout out him by the way. He hasn't really done a whole lot, since leaving SAC, although he did win a chip with the Warriors, but he was always solid for us. And honestly, I feel like that might be a good comp for Sasha, at least in his first year. If he can rebound like Belly, then I'm cool with whatever else. Obviously, we know he can shoot, but as far as the comp goes, I think 11.5 points, 6.5 rebounds on 42% from three, which that was Bielitsa's best year with us. I mean, that would be amazing for Sasha. As a starter, maybe not, but if he's doing that coming off the bench, then bro, this Kings team is going to be so good. But real quick, I just want to highlight some other former EuroLeague MVPs. Right before Sasha actually was Nikola Mirotic, who had a really solid NBA career. For whatever reason, I just didn't realize he was putting up numbers like that. Luka Doncic won in the 2017-18 season, right before coming to the NBA and getting drafted at a super reasonable spot that elicits absolutely zero angry thoughts or feelings of anguish in any way whatsoever. No controversy there, so I'll move on. Like I mentioned earlier, Bielitsa won in 2015, Sergio Rodriguez won in 2014, and Andrei Kirilenko won in 2012. Sorry if there's any fans listening that love the other past winners of the award, but the guys I mentioned are the most notable NBA players that have won. But back to Sasha. I think his ceiling this year is cracking the starting lineup. I think he adds a lot of firepower to this team. He obviously adds spacing to what is already a very spacious offense. The biggest questions are just, can he defend at this level? I think he'll be okay on the boards. I don't really care about his passing just because, that's not really what we need at that position. But I do think it's his lack of defense that will ultimately keep him out of the starting rotation. But I am hopeful that over time he acclimates and is able to at least be a guy that doesn't get bullied out there. But yeah, I mean, if it takes him a while to transition to the speed and athleticism of the NBA, there's a very real possibility that we don't see him play meaningful minutes. Personally, I'm optimistic. I think he's just too good at basketball and too big a competitor to not make an impact. It'll be tough though, especially considering the fact that the Kings pretty much ran it back in terms of their roster. So everybody already has chemistry. They've established a rapport with each other, and I'm sure that's made it a little harder for Sasha to make a good impression. But even for an offense that's as good as Sacramento's, you can never have too much shooting. And apparently he's like the greatest shooter of all time, so I bet you he gets minutes off the bench. This team is deep, which is a good problem for us to have. Not so good problem for Vezenkov. Hoping for the best though. At least once this year, I gotta see this guy light the beam.